Hello, friends. Welcome back to GM Philosophy in the Morning. I'm the GM Philosopher. This is the channel where we empower game masters to run better games. Today, I want to talk about why your players aren't having as much fun as you think they are. Your players may show up to your game, right? They may roll dice, laugh occasionally, tell you the session was fun. So everything may seem right. But let me tell you from experience, it may not be all right, okay? Most players are not going to look at their game master in the eye after a session and say, honestly, I'm not digging this. This is not going well for me. They know you worked hard. They don't want to hurt your feelings, okay? They may not even understand what exactly is going wrong, why they're losing interest. So instead, they just get a little quieter. They check their phones more often, right? They stop taking detailed notes. They stop talking about the campaign between sessions, and eventually they start missing games. And the dangerous part is that the game master may not recognize the problem until the campaign is already falling apart. So today, I want to talk about 3 reasons why your players may not be having as much fun as you think and what you can do about each situation, okay? Unfortunately, these are all too common, and I've experienced all of them. And I'm trying to tell you, game masters, this so that you know what to expect, all right? So that your games don't fall apart. Whether you're a pro game master, friends and family GM, gaming at your local store, whatever. These apply to all of them, okay? All right, problem number 1. You're running the game you want, but not the game that they want. The first problem here is a mismatch between what the game master enjoys and what the players enjoy. You might love political intrigue, complicated NPC relationships, and 30-minute conversations with suspicious nobles. One player might want tactical combat. Another player might want to explore dangerous locations. Another player may want funny character interactions in a relatively relaxed game. And let me start by saying none of you are wrong for liking these different aspects of the game. The problem begins when the game master assumes that everyone enjoys the game that they want to run, the same parts of D&D or whatever you're gaming with that they enjoy. You may spend hours creating complicated lore because you love world building. Your players may politely listen, but what they really want is to kick open a door and fight something. You may create combat encounter after combat encounter because you love tactical encounters, while half your players are waiting for just an opportunity to go to the store and do a little haggling and buy some stuff and build up their character. The session may be well prepared. You may be technically running the session well, right? But if it's not giving the players the experience they want, they're going to start to withdraw, and they probably won't know how to tell you this, okay? What do you do about it? How do you know when this is the problem? How do you know when you're going wrong? Let me fill you in on this. You can tell by constantly paying attention to what really gets your players' attention, what really gets them into it, what really catches their interest. And I think the underlying knowledge of this that I have gathered through my years, and I've been running games for over 24 years at this point, and at this point I run 7 pro games. And that's weekly. So I'm running a lot of D&D, a lot of TTRPGs, okay? By the way, if you want to join one of my games, link to my start playing is in the description. I've got some games with some slots open. I would love for you to join us. You can also book a call with me, and you can join my free Discord. Jump in there where we empower game masters run better games, and you can become part of my community, which is almost 700 game masters strong at this point. But here's the thing. When you are trying to run a successful session, you have to figure out what your players want. And one of the best ways to do this is to ask them about it. What kind of things would you like to see coming up in the game? What kinds of encounters do you enjoy the most? How many combats do you feel like you would like to see? Do you like 1 combat per session? 1 combat every other session? These are all really good questions to ask, but I'm going to tell you something else. And I think this is actually more powerful than even asking your players, because the truth is, and I'm gonna share a truth with you that may make a lot of people upset, but I'm telling you, it's the gospel truth, guys. Your players may not know what they want to do right now. You may ask them. They may tell you what they think you want to hear. They may tell you what they think is the truth. But just because they answer your question a certain way, that does not necessarily make it the true answer. In the moment, when the art is happening, what you really have to do is give them in-game choice. You have to present different pathways. A pathway to the combat, a pathway to the political option, a pathway to peacefulness where they can do cozy village things, a pathway to complicated interpersonal NPC stuff. When you give your player characters in-game options, you make it clear that they can go in those different directions, and then you even facilitate that. I know it takes more work as a GM, but it's going to win in the end because you are giving them maximum agency over not just their character and what they do in a situation, but even in the situations they choose for their character, which is a bigger form of agency. So that's the answer to that. And GMs, those of you who are like, well, sandbox takes more work. I know. But if you're not willing to sandbox, your game is going to be capped at a certain value level. And that's just how it is. That's an objective statement. Drop a comment and let me know if you think I'm wrong, but I'm not wrong, guys. That's the truth of it. And then we go to problem number 2. When players feel like their decisions don't matter, they're going to lose interest in the game. Players lose interest when they realize that their choices don't change anything. When no matter what they choose, the same monster is going to attack them in the same way. The NPC is still going to think that they're untrustworthy and they're going to betray them. No matter what choices they make on the battlefield, the enemy is still going to do the same tactics, and they're still going to get the same modifiers. These things make it feel like, what's the point in me being here? Just to watch the story unfold and make an attack roll? This is going to make players very disinterested in the game. And I could go on and on about that, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. You game masters out there, you know this. I know that you want your players to feel like they're making a difference, but the truth is, you have to actually let them make a difference. That's the solution here. And to do this, we have to let go of all preconceived ideas. And we have to, instead of focusing on what we think the story should be, you have to focus on what the players do. And the immediate answer to that is to always ask yourself, how did that change the world? And then how do I show that to them? Like, what would they see resulting from that? Any other answer is going to be less than, and it's going to make it more likely that your characters are going to bounce on you, or your players are going to bounce on you. Drop a comment. Let me know if you think I'm wrong about that. But I'm not wrong, okay? I'm not wrong about that. You need to let your players have actual control over the outcomes that their actions produce. And when I say give them control, not that they get to control how the enemies react, but they get to control the fact that they act on the world and then different things happen because of it. They're going to affect the world. They're going to affect the way villains think. They're going to affect the way factions look at the next job. They're going to affect the way the city guard operates while they are in town. If we do not let these things shake down in a common sense way, and if we're not willing to drastically change our whole plan based on what the player characters do, you're going to be in grave danger of them losing interest in your game slowly. And you may not even realize it because they may not even be able to put their finger on what's going wrong. But it's the truth, guys. And this leads us to problem number 3. Some players may barely be getting to play in your game. I will admit, I have made this mistake before. It sucks. It sucks to do this. But sometimes spotlight control is a big issue. Spotlight control is basically you as a game master giving each player character equal time in the session. This becomes especially more important when you're playing with quieter players. It becomes especially more important when you have large groups. But you need to give every single player quality equal time. Okay? Now, this becomes more challenging with quiet players because even though you may give them the option for stuff, they may say, well, I'm just watching for now. And let me tell you something, guys, and this is going to blow your minds. You may not like me for saying this. Drop a comment. Let me know. If you're mad, drop a comment. Let me know. But if your quiet player says, well, there's nothing really that I want to do right now, you can skip me. And you skip them, you've just increased the likelihood that they're going to leave your game. And the fact that they left your game is going to increase the likelihood that your game is going to fall apart. You cannot take this as an answer. You have to be so creative about engaging that player that you go around to the front again and you engage them in a way that is either going to get their interest enough to where it overpowers that urge to pass the spotlight, or it just doesn't give them a choice. One of my favorite tactics for this is to say, so, Francis, what are you going to do into C? Because I use my phone and I stopwatch every character's playtime. So I try to keep it very even. And when a quiet player, when I go to them and they say, I'm kind of just sitting right now. There's really nothing I want to do. Red flag, red flag. We're in dangerous territory, and you should register that as dangerous territory too. So what do I do then? Okay. We go on to the next player. But I think to myself, we're going back to that player here in a minute. And while that next player is taking their turn, I'm thinking about the best way to re-engage that quiet player. When this player's done, we go back to that quiet player, and I say, while so-and-so is doing this, you would see something. Roll me an insight check or roll me a perception check, and then, I may have them roll and I say, you see that the way they're talking to the general, he responds like this. Everyone else is busy. So you're the only one who notices this. Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to do anything about this? What's your character going to do? Now it's their turn again. I've just kicked it back to them, giving them more information, giving them something deeper. They usually will do something, but I'm telling you what, the tough ones, the tough cookies, the tough players out there, they will say, I'm not really going to do anything about that. You can go ahead. Like, I'm just going to sit here and, I'm just going to kind of watch. I'm going to tell you right now that what I'm about to say, there are going to be about 7 or 8 people who are going to comment and tell me I'm wrong about this. They're going to say, no, you're pressuring players by doing this. No, you got to let players take the background if they want. No, don't try to push things on players. No. All of those comments are misplaced and wrong. So go ahead and comment it. But I'm telling you from experience that is not the way to handle spotlight. No. Sometimes quiet players will say, I just don't want to do anything then. I would make the case that this is not true. The truth is not that they don't want to do anything. The truth is that they are not inspired to do anything. And that is going to hurt your game. It's going to hurt their experience. And it's going to create a danger of your game losing players and falling apart if you do not address it immediately. So here's how we go back around to this. I kick it back again and I say, so I go to another player's turn, and then as they're wrapping up their turn, their 5 minutes of spotlight time or whatever, I'm kick it back and say, so-and-so, roll me a perception check. This is when I'm getting extreme with trying to bring the character. And I'm going to say, you notice so-and-so doing this. And then I'll cause some situation that's going to kind of force them to act. Like, you see so-and-so, their eyes roll back in their head suddenly, and they just fall down. It's like they're falling into you. What are you going to do? They can't just say, I'm not going to do anything. They're going to do something, right? Sometimes you have to bring a situation right to them. Sometimes you're going to realize that this isn't what they're interested in. Sometimes this is going to spark some interest. But at the very least, they're going to get involved. They're going to role play. And that's the worst case scenario when you take this approach, which is a pretty darn good margin for error. It's way better than just listening to I don't want to do anything right now. Okay, let's just skip your turn altogether then. If you take this approach, you're going to be much less likely that your players are going to, lose interest in the game, lose inspiration in the game. The best case scenario is for you to find out what that player actually wants to do and to give them opportunities to do it. Find out what they care about in the world and show them that part of the world. Find out what lights them up creatively and present them with opportunities to pursue that. That's the best case scenario. But sometimes we have to keep kicking it back to them and keep trying new things. And that's another thing. Every time I kick it back to them, I'm trying a different thing. Let's try a different thing, different plot hook, different situation, different thing. We've got to hook them into the story. And then once we figure out what bait they're going to take, we got to reel it in and say, oh yeah, heck yeah, we just found out something they care about. Let's try to help them tell that story with their character. That's what it's all about, guys. All right. That is my thesis for today. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Maybe a little controversial. I don't care. I'm out here trying to tell the truth, guys. So drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Hit that subscribe button if you're a game master and you want to run better games. Join my free GM philosophy Discord in the description. I care about all of you. Make sure you roll some D100s for me at your next game. Empowering game masters run better games is the goal. I will see you amazing people on the next one.